Tonight we look at one of the stranger denominations of Christianity, not to be confused with Scientology. The curse. I can't get through it. This woman's staring at me. The Church of Christ Scientist is a sect that is mainly defined by faith healing, but is it more harmful than healful? Is it a cult? Will we answer this question tonight on Deep Fat Fried?
Presume that we'll answer the question. We'll see.
I don't know anything anymore. I can't. All I know is I can't read lines with this woman looking at me. That's all I know.
Stare deeply into her eyes.
I'm glad she's never been in the audience of anything I've ever done.
Yeah, you'd see those eyes even from the back row.
So this is the founder. I like to, when we're talking about these weird, religious offshoots, I always like to talk about the founder first because, everything flows forth from them. This is Mary Baker Eddy, born July 16th, 1821 in Bow, New Hampshire.
Same birthday as you, Scotty.
Dude, she's got my birthday.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Crazy chick's got my birthday. All right.
You do not have the same crazy eyes, though, Scotty. Okay, yes, you do.
Try to do it.
Never mind. He has them. He has the same
look right at the
crazy
camera,
eyes.
Scotty. Look at him.
Oh, my God.
All right.
That's what you think, fools.
So in her 20s, she faced a barrage of deaths of those close to her in quick succession. This is just bad luck, but also probably relatively typical for the early
1820s and stuff. So
so she lost her brother.
1840s.
It's 1840s,
right? She lost her brother, then her husband. They'd only been married for 6 months. Then her mother, and finally her latest fiance, who was a lawyer. All died. Boom, 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 and she was just like, I don't know. She tried to earn a living on her own by writing articles for the New Hampshire Patriot and various Oddfellows and Masonic publications. Illuminati confirmed. She also worked as a sub-teacher in the New Hampshire Conference Seminary, ran her own kindergarten for a few months in 1846, apparently refusing to use corporal punishment. Bravo to her for that. That's a pretty good stance.
Very
way
progressive.
back when. But this was still not enough to support herself and her only son, George. And she lost custody of him to another family when her second husband would not agree to be his legal guardian. That has to suck.
You probably should have worked that out before you did that marriage.
Maybe you didn't have a whole lot of choice back in the day. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think she really had much of a choice.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it in too modern of terms.
I shall marry you, bitch. You shall send your son to live elsewhere, as I will not raise another man's progeny, and then your vagina and cleaning and cooking skills shall be mine.
Good day.
During her bouts with chronic illness in the 1850s and 60s, Mary Baker Eddy became interested in the accounts of healing performed by Jesus Christ that are recorded in the Bible. Through prayer and careful study, she became convinced that the true source of healing is a spiritual gift that comes from God. So she referred to the spiritual way in which Christ healed as Christian Science. During the first several years of practicing and preaching spiritual healing, Mary Baker Eddy divorced her second husband. So I guess she could get a divorce. So it really does call into a question why she shipped her son away.
Maybe she was just like, this son kind of sucks, but this guy's pretty good at laying down the dick. So
that's probably what it came down to.
She's probably just like, yeah, I had to get rid of my son. My husband didn't want him.
So long, George.
Well, she had cause for adultery. That's probably why.
Right.
I mean,
so yeah, so he was out there fucking around.
He was philandering.
The dick was good, but it also wasn't exclusive. So
but
she's
it still
like, nah.
Was not a common thing for women to do in the 19th century. By the way,
It kind of, I'm already getting kind of the vibe of like marching to the beat of her own drum from this chick, though. So like, I don't know if she's like necessarily going to do the common thing.
She doesn't.
In every situation, you know.
So shortly
most people
after
who
her
found
divorce,
religion are not really big conformists. You know, if you really think about it.
Not really. It wouldn't make much sense.
Shortly after her divorce, she wrote a 700-page tome called Science and Health with a Key to the Scriptures in 1875. Got a lot of criticism, not only for being a woman, but mostly for being a woman speaking on religion. But for using the then controversial modern translations of the Bible. Back in the day, you know, it was like the King James or nothing.
The only version of the Bible I still use, the good old King James.
I love this logo. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons.
Yep.
Good. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
But she liked to mix her religions up a little bit. And she suggested that Christian Science was compatible with the Vedanta Hindu school of thought. An Indian writer that I found wrote, the Christian Science movement in America was possibly influenced by India. The founder of the movement, Mary Baker Eddy, in common with Vedantins, believed that matter and suffering were unreal, and that a full realization of this fact was essential for the relief of from ills and pains. The Christian Science doctrine has naturally been giving a Christian framework, but the echoes of Vedanta in its literature are often striking. So
basically, she found some Hindu religious beliefs and was like, I kind of like this stuff, but obviously Christians aren't going to go for that unless I repackage it in a like, oh yeah, this is part of Christianity now.
Yep.
This is what Jesus used when he was healing people. This is Christian Science, boy.
So
yeah.
After the foundation of the Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, 1879, Mary Baker Eddy started the publication, the Christian Science Monitor, which we were talking a little bit before we did the show, is a publication of note, multiple Pulitzer Prize winning publication, pretty well trusted and well, regarded in the journalistic community.
Right. I mean, this is it's like, obviously journalism has taken some hits in recent years and stuff as an institution, but for whatever it's worth, it is on that level of like a New York Times or like a Vanity Fair or something.
I've read articles from them that I thought were pretty decent articles. Wasn't like it was like, oh, that was just it's Christian bullshit.
If you read the Christian Science Monitor, I'm not like a regular reader, but I've read articles from it too. But like, it's not like a bunch of Christian Science propaganda that's like constantly espousing her philosophy or something. Maybe it was always been. I don't know.
Since its founding, there's been a single religious article in each edition, and that carries on to today. And it does not seem to be much of a tool of religious indoctrination, compelling people into Christian Science. So
basically, it's a pretty legit newspaper that she imposed a limit of like, okay, there will be some of our religion in this, but it's going to be very, very.
One article in the whole newspaper.
Right. So they're basically just like burying that lead in the amongst a bunch of legitimate journalism.
Its goal from the start was to avoid sensationalism in journalism and to be just kind of an unbiased look at what was going on in the news. During apartheid in South Africa, Nelson Mandela personally thanked the Christian Science Monitor for their coverage of events during his exile and imprisonment. So, pretty interesting lady, but we really don't know much about the beliefs of adherents to the Christian Science. It's called the Church of Christ, Scientist.
Oh,
is the actual name.
Okay, so like Church of Christ, Scientist.
Yes.
So like Jesus is a scientist, basically.
Yes.
A religious scientist.
Gotcha.
A spiritual scientist, DJ.
I mean, rock on.
So
Sure
it departs pretty quickly from Christianity. It does not recognize that Jesus was God. So you know that whole like triune God thing that all other Christian denominations do, or most do, where it's God the Father, the Holy Spirit, or Jesus, or the Son, the Father, the Son, Holy Ghost. So whatever.
Yeah, the whole Trinity thing. Yeah.
Right. They don't believe, they refuse to like say that Jesus was God. Now they believe everything that's written in the Bible about Jesus, like all the miracles and shit and the healings and pretty much every other word that's written about Jesus in the Bible. They believe. They just like, nah, he wasn't God. He was just a guy. He was like a son of God.
It's like the virgin birth, they buy all that, just the son of God thing.
He's just a dude. They refuse to acknowledge that he was like a god.
Why?
Well, I would imagine, and this is just my speculation. I don't know. Maybe you have the exact reason, but I would think it'd be because then it makes it like where the powers of Jesus are attainable to anyone, basically.
Oh, okay.
If you adhere to Christian Science as a doctrine strongly enough. You know,
well, I don't know exactly what her thought process was in excluding this, other than that she saw a deficiency in the churches around her in trying to heal the sick as Christ did. So she wanted to kind of like say, look, Jesus did it his way, but we've got to do other things to heal the sick. And that could be a really good idea if it wasn't just more religious mumbo jumbo, which unfortunately it is. So I wanted to read this to you because I think it's pretty interesting. It's a Christian church or a Christian sect. It starts, every service, if you go to this, starts with the scientific statement of being.
Okay.
So everybody recites it. There is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation. For God is all in all, spirit is immortal truth, matter is mortal error. Spirit is the real and eternal. Matter is the unreal and temporal. Spirit is God, and man in his image and likeness. Therefore, man is not material, he is spiritual. The Christian Science religion refers to God as Father, Mother, rather than the biblical Father. Though unconventional, this is not a major departure from mainstream Christianity, since God is believed to encompass both male and female. Both were created in the image of God. They all say that.
So they have to wait. So the whole screed, they have to just like barrel through that motherfucker. I mean, that's like a pretty that's more intensive than a lot of mantras like Pledge of Allegiance or some crap, you know? It's probably like 4 times the length of the Pledge of Allegiance or something.
So
I mean, that's like a pretty healthy chunk of words right there.
They've got equality between men and women written right into their doctrine, which is rare amongst Christian subsects. Usually they are like, you know, male dominated and women are kind of delineated as lesser or helping hands or helpmates or whatever.
Make Catholicism.
Well, it seemed like she kind of took issue with a lot of that stuff too. I mean, we saw like in her own life how her being disempowered led to her having to make decisions she probably didn't want to make.
Sure.
So, you know, if she could, you know, make little tweaks and adjustments that was going to make society a little bit more useful to her, then she was going to do that. And obviously, the fact that we still know about Christian Science's day shows that she probably at least for some people, did change those rules.
True. There's a real parallel between Christian Science and the Matrix. This picture being up is it's kind of a point to it. Just as in the Matrix, where Neo could mentally bend a spoon by realizing that there is no spoon, so the Christian Science religion teaches people that they can heal themselves spiritually by realizing that illness does not exist. So, according to their beliefs, humans are subjects to the laws of matter only so long as they believe that they're real.
Yeah,
Oh no.
So if
Dude,
they
believe
let go
that
of reality and believe that they're not this meat sack, but they're just a spiritual being, then you won't be subject to the laws of reality. So no cancer, no.
I did this. I mean, look, I've actually applied this in real life. I was stuck in a building. It was pouring down rain. I did not have an umbrella, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to apply the principle that rain does not exist and it cannot affect me. And I walked out there, and lo and behold, I walked to my car. I got in, bone dry, because I realized that rain does not actually exist. Water, wetness, all of these things, just illusions.
Unreal, teacher.
And the moment you look beyond them, you transcend them.
Yeah, see, TJ, you mock, but you probably walked down into the rain and got wet, but only because you believed you would.
Yeah, it's because I couldn't. I mean, this was for illustrative purposes. In real life, I walked out in the rain, got me soaking wet because I couldn't fully let it go. But if I had been able to fully let go of the illusion of rain, of water, of wetness, it wouldn't have affected me.
It's good. So she's still alive, I'm guessing, because she did not believe in disease. So she lived.
No,
she's
she's
probably
dead.
still alive. She had
a moment of doubt when she was older.
Oh, she's not.
Look,
she's not like 200 now.
No,
she's alive and well.
She had a moment where she believed that her meat was real, as we all do at the end, for just a second, and then it became real, and she died of old age.
Yeah, it's a difficult mental task. Seeing past the illusion.
So Christian Science adherents claim they have over 50,000 testimonies of spiritual healing that are available to anybody who wants to read them.
Okay.
Because they have such faith in spiritual healing and see illness itself as an illusion that must be conquered through Christ, Christian scientists used to reject pretty much all forms of medical treatment. They will even sometimes hire full-time faith healers. However, after several controversies, which we'll look at, the Mother Church in Boston has lightened its guidance, and the Christian Scientist seeking medical treatment is now more permissible. So,
okay.
They realized they were going to get sued out of existence, basically, by people who died under their care, and they were like, "All right, you can go to the doctor, but
So basically, they've kind of whittled it down to more of a a disease isn't real, and you gotta think past it and stuff. But also at the same time as that, seek conventional medical care just for a lark, because there's always gonna be doubt and stuff. So just have that. If it's gonna help you, it's gonna bolster your ability to see past it and transcend it or whatever.
I can't tell you to go to a hospital. And I can't say you need to go to a hospital, but if you want to go to a hospital, you can.
Absolutely. I love it.
They also take the golden rule very seriously. It's actually enshrined into their beliefs, the whole do unto others as you would have others do unto you thing. Their funeral rites aren't weird. Amelia helped me with this, and she's always going to look into that for me. And she said that the only thing that she could find was they don't want it done in a church. So but other than that, they do, you might have been to a Christian Science funeral and not known it, because it just kind of seems like a normal Christian funeral.
Well, I've been to a Pentecostal funeral. I can tell you, I fucking knew. I knew when I was at a Pentecostal funeral. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's like 99% like, let's preach about Jesus and the gospel, and like 1% like, they're also a good person. Come to God.
Join our church. Join our church. Join our church. This person's dead. It's very sad. Join our church. Join our church. It's like, okay.
Another departure of Mary Baker Eddy before we move on to the controversies was that she believes that heaven and hell are states of mind and not places, and that death is part of the unreal as well. So,
well, yeah, that's why she's
still alive.
She's still alive and fine.
Heaven
and hell, that's just states of mind. She's kind of a hippie. She's kind of a fucking hippie. Yeah,
definitely a hippie. Kind of a hippie
like states
Christian.
Of mind, man.
So Christian scientists don't just rely on faith healing for minor illnesses or things that doctors fully don't understand, like cancer, or don't fully understand, like cancer. One couple literally thought they could cure their child of type 1 diabetes without insulin. That led to one or more of the prominent court cases involving Christian Science. A jury awarded $5.2 million in damages to the father of an 11-year-old named Ian Lundman, a diabetic who died when Christian Scientist mother and stepfather tried to treat his illness with prayer instead of insulin. Didn't work out.
Hey, it's those real-world consequences of your beliefs. Oopsie.
Yep.
See, this is why this is the kind of stuff when people always are like, oh, man, what does it matter what someone else believes? Like, well... because you'd base actions on that, and when you think that illusion is but an illness is but an illusion, and it can just we just pray it away.
You just wanted to be ill, didn't you?
You had it right the first time, TJ. Illusion is but an illness, TJ.
Hey, yeah, you're right. Wow, I didn't even. Yeah,
you have back pain, TJ. Only if you allow yourself.
I mean, I did, but now I just
back pain does not exist.
I see
your
back's
not real.
I'm free.
Your
I am not
this
rude man.
You have a bad back, Paul? No, your back is fine.
Everything's good. Everything's fine now. The problem was this stupid kid just didn't believe he kept believing diabetes was real,
Mom,
like some kind of idiot.
Mom, I need insulin. You need prayer.
So this kid didn't, they told him,
obviously,
there is no spoon, stupid, but he fucking wouldn't listen. And now he's dead.
The kid died when the prayers didn't work. And, he could have been saved.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I resent that fucking description of what happened. The kid died when his faith was insufficient to save him. Okay?
I mean, technically, if you want to stick to the doctrine, the kid never existed in the first place.
Oh, okay. Cool.
That's
yeah.
true.
There was no kid. Doesn't matter. He's dead. Who's dead? There is no kid.
So there was another prominent Christian Science case that went all the way to the Massachusetts Supreme Court. Wow. Although in this case, the parents weren't held accountable for their child's death. This was Commonwealth v. Twitchell, conserved David and Ginger Twitchell, whose 2-year-old son died from bowel obstruction that could have easily been addressed by doctors. They originally were charged with manslaughter, sentenced to 10 years probation, required to bring their children to the doctor once a year for a checkup because they had other kids, I guess. However, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead there, Scotty.
I was gonna say it's kind of sad when you have to have a little court mandated make sure your kids aren't dying. Take them to a doctor.
Yeah. Their First Amendment defense, when they finally went to the Supreme Court, it didn't work, but the court did find a discrepancy. It was basically reversed the decision on a technicality. They thought there was sufficient ambiguity that the parents could believe that their denial of medical treatment wouldn't fit into the child neglect law. There was a previous Massachusetts law in 1971 that protected Christian Scientists. Much later on 60 Minutes, Mr. Twitchell said he blamed himself. Years later, he finally, I blame myself.
Well, no shit. I mean, they killed him.
Right. Not for failing to seek a doctor, but because he failed in his belief.
Yeah.
He didn't believe enough. See? He thought too hard that there was a spoon.
Yeah.
And there is no spoon.
You believe in that spoon, it'll fucking scoop you up every time. You gotta fucking recognize, Neo, there is no friggin' spoon, man. You see there's no spoon. You use that spoon. You think there's a spoon, you use it to dig yourself a big old hole. And then you put your dead baby in it because that you didn't believe enough. You didn't fucking believe.
Failed.
Yeah, I regret it. I blame myself.
Because you didn't take him to the doctor?
No, because I didn't believe hard enough. I prayed over the boy every night, but I guess I should have prayed twice a night.
It's like, all right.
Could have saved him.
Could have saved him. Could have saved him if only you prayed harder.
So at one point in the country, the First Amendment protections for Christian scientists in these cases were really strong. A whole system of Christian Science nursing sprang up in unlicensed Christian Science sanatoriums and nursing homes, catering to patients with open wounds and bodies eaten away by tumors. There, no medical treatment was allowed to interfere with prayer. So these are basically just like Mother Teresa's suffering domes that she set up in India.
Welcome to the suffertorium.
The cancer's eating me alive. Don't worry, medicine won't get in the way of your treatment.
It's like, oh no. Get me out of here.
So Christian Science nurses in these facilities were not registered nurses. They were assigned only to the most basic duties of feeding and cleaning the patients. Instead, they engaged in bizarre practices such as leaving food on the mouths of patients who cannot eat. They provide no assistance for those who are having trouble breathing. They administer no painkillers. They react to no emergencies. Do not resuscitate is their default. But some of these facilities and the concomitant care they provide are still covered by Medicare and the U.S. National Health Care Insurance Program. So,
wow, yeah. I can't, I mean, I would,
Travesty.
this is basically, this shouldn't exist.
not at all.
Okay.
Every time I look into one of these, I'm just like, wow, this is depraved. Like every one of them, like at first you kind of liked her, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
You did. Just
Yeah, I
a
was like,
rebel without a
a
cause,
trailblazer.
wasn't she?
Wow, yeah. She's like, wow, she's, she's marching the beat of her own drum. She's a free spirit.
She's basically just the American Mother Teresa. And her suffering camps still exist and are being subsidized by your tax dollars.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah!
Dope.
So more recently in 2009, several states brought cases against Christian Scientist parents over the deaths of their children. Although 44 states have enacted laws to prevent prosecution of Christian Scientists, think about how well they did infiltrating the system. 44 fucking states have specific laws saying that Christian Science, like specifically made for Christian Scientists to protect them.
Remember, they are a voting block, right?
Yeah.
Get to that point where you're a voting block, you can get some fucking state protections.
I guess so. So child abuse is not directly alluded to in most of the statutes protecting Christian Scientists. So David and Ginger Twitchell did not face repercussions. The courts went after Nathan Talbot, one of the legal and public relations advisors of the Mother Church of Christ Scientist in Boston. The other highly publicized case involves charges of third-degree murder and child abuse. William and Christine Hermanson of Sarasota, Florida, are accused of killing their diabetic daughter by denying her insulin, once again. Amy Hermanson, 7, died in September 1986. She had been ill for 8 days and her diabetes worsened. Before an anonymous complaint alerted the authorities, a local court ordered medical intervention, but the girl was dead by the time paramedics had arrived. So, like the
If you're a
system was
diabetic, you do not want to be born in a Christian Science household.
Fuck no, dude.
The system was too slow to save this child from her deranged parents, and she died.
It sounds like in many cases the system has been bolstered in the favor of the crazies. So,
in December, the Hermansons tried to block their prosecution on grounds of religious freedom by appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court, but Justice Anthony M. Kennedy denied the emergency request without comment, It was a promising ruling that opened up the possibility of maybe starting to prosecute some of these cases of Christian Scientists where children have died because they just literally didn't take them to the doctor.
Yeah, for simple, preventable diseases.
Yep, or easy medical procedures that could easily save their lives, and they're just like, nope, keep them home. And so now, like, at this point in time, it's just starting to become like, maybe now we can start prosecuting these weirdos. So that's the influence of Christian Science, which I got to tell you, I learned a lot doing this episode.
I've heard about these kind of groups before, and there's so many spinoffs. It's like, you need to eat only this vegan diet and you'll live. You just need to pray. And they're not always necessarily Christian Scientists, I don't think, but there's a lot of offshoots of this with like New Age medicine and stuff. And it's just sad, man, because usually the victims are these fucking people's kids that just like, I can imagine like leaving a 7-year-old just like, and it's like, just keep praying. Just keep praying. You're fucking, it's a psychotic, dude. It's like, you have to be deranged. You have
Suffering is beautiful, Scotty. Suffering is God's gift to man.
Well, yeah, Christianity is the cult of death. So yeah.
Well, the greatest gift that God gave us is the ability to think and pray past that illusion of suffering, right?
But at the same time, God gave them the suffering to begin with.
Yeah, the greatest gift that God gave us. The greatest gift that God gave us was this fucking podcast, gentlemen, and this episode of Deep Fat Fried.